Hello, guys and gals, and welcome to another episode of Unique Items. Today, I thought we would cover a rather powerful item. I know I cover just about every item in the game, but I just felt like covering this item today. And this one is Crown of the Ages, Corona, not the coronavirus. Has a defense of 399. It is strength of 174. It has a level of 82, which makes it an endgame item. You're not going to be able to put this on at low level. It is indestructible, which means it does not spawn ethereal. It has +1 to all skills static. It also has a variable damage reduced by of 10 to 15%, which is unfortunate. It has 30% faster hit recovery, which is static. It has a bonus defense of 50% enhanced, which is static. It has another 150 defense, which does vary between 100 to 150. And then it also has all resistances between 20 to 30. And it also has a variable of 1 to 2 sockets, which is, I think, the biggest variable that people look at when they see the Crown of Ages or the unique Corona, is that if it doesn't spawn with 2 sockets, it tends to be not the greatest item. It also has the possibility of spawning with only 10% damage reduced by. It has the ability to spawn with only 20 all resistances. It can also spawn with relatively low defense. And the Crown of Ages that you see right here is perfect. But when you actually find this item, most of the time it's not going to be anywhere near perfect. Finding one that has 2 sockets is already a triumph. And finding one that has 15% damage reduced by with 2 sockets is very, very nice. And if you find one that has 2 sockets, damage reduced by 15%, and all resistance is 30, you're about as close to perfect as you're probably ever going to get. And this helmet is an absolutely amazing helmet because it offers quite a few very nice effects in a absolutely amazing package. So what you have to remember is that the 2 sockets make this extremely highly customizable to exactly what you would like to do with this particular item. And to give you an idea, I'm going to go grab a couple jewels that you may or may not put in this, as well as some some runes that you might put in here as well. Alright, so here we go. So I've got a collection of items here. I have burr runes, which are damage reduced by 8%, which is not bad. I also have some 15% increased attack speed, 40% enhanced damage jewels, as well as a 15% all resistances 15 jewel, which is not bad. All of these options are viable, and of course there are some other options that you could go with as well. But let's talk about probably one of the most popular options for the Crown of Ages, as far as I know, which is the dual 15% IAS jewels or the dual burr runes. So if you notice that this already has damage reduced by 15%, which is relatively high. And if I were to take 2 burr runes and put them into the Crown of Ages, now it is damage reduced by 31%. There's very few items in the game that have a damage reduced by that high. And utilizing this particular helmet in situations where you are taking massive amounts of physical damage can be extremely effective, and it can be used to counter amplify damage. So a lot of people are do not know that the cap is 50% on physical damage reduction. And amplify damage will reduce your resistance to physical damage by 100%. So if you were at 50% physical damage reduction and somebody curses you with amplify damage, you will go to negative 50% amplify or physical resistance. But with a helmet like this, utilizing other pieces of equipment, like for instance maybe you're using Storm Shield Monarch, which has 35%, maybe you have Shaft Stop on, or maybe you're running Enigma, which does have, 8%. And you've got a selection of items. Maybe you're running Verdungos, or maybe you're running String of Ears, and you have quite a large amount of physical damage reduction percent. Well, even though you can't go over the 50% cap, you can overprotect yourself versus something like Amplify Damage. Because Amplify Damage reduces your total physical resistance by 100%, say if you were to have 150% physical damage reduction, which I believe is possible, but it's very difficult, and somebody amplify damage you would still be at plus 50% physical damage reduction. So it's an interesting way that you can get a rather massive amount of physical damage reduction. Now, of course, you could also socket into 15% 40 joules of fervor, which would give you a really, really nice helmet with 30% increased attack speed and 80% enhanced damage, which is certainly not terrible. You could also put 15% all resistance joules in there, which would give you 30% increased attack speed and would give you 60 to all resistances, because the helmet does have 20 to 30 on it already. So you would be looking at some pretty nice resistances from the helmet. In my opinion, damage reduced by is a little bit more important than resistances, because damage reduced by is a little bit harder to come by than resistances. I can put resistances charms on. I can put, I can have a really nice torch. I can get an Annihilus charm and so forth and so on. But I can't necessarily get massive amounts of physical damage reduction any way I want. It usually comes in a very specific form, like the Storm Shield, the Crown of Ages, Shaco, String of Ears, Verdungos, Shaft Stop, Enigma, Chains of Honor, things like that, and getting the percent that I specifically want is difficult. Because of the massive physical damage reduction on this, it actually comes in pretty handy in player versus player, because when you're fighting somebody who has a huge amount of physical damage, it will help out a ton in mitigating that physical damage, especially if they are using some type of amplify damage proc. It will also help to mitigate that amplify damage, which is going to increase the amount of damage that you take exponentially. And what kind of characters can utilize this helmet? Barbarians, paladins, assassins. Also, it is a particularly good helmet for a mercenary, believe it or not, because of the 2 sockets and because of how tanky and survivable it makes you. It actually is a really nice slot item for a mercenary. You can put this on a mercenary with 2 burr runes, or you could put it on a mercenary with 15% IAS joules. You could also put it on a mercenary with 2 shales if you didn't have anything else at the moment, just for the massive faster hit recovery that would offer you, because shale runes give you was it 20% per shale rune in a helmet, and you would be looking at 40% faster hit recovery combined with the 30% that's already on the item, so you'd be looking at a total of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 4, 5, 6, 7, 70%, terrible math, faster hit recovery, which is pretty massive. And because mercenaries tend to have an really awful faster hit recovery, you will find that having a big bonus to faster hit recovery like that is super, super, super good for the mercenary. It will help keep him alive a lot more, because a lot of the times when mercenaries die, believe it or not, it's because they get stuck in faster hit recovery loops, and really not much you can do about it other than beef up their defense and increase their faster hit recovery to a point where it is livable. And there's really not much more to talk about with this particular piece of equipment. I guess we're going to talk about the last thing, which is where do you find this particular piece of equipment? And I feel like it's going to be I can already tell just by looking at it, just by the level of it, and how good it is, that it's probably going to be quite rare. So let's do bosses first. And only 3 bosses on the list, and one of them is a duplicate because it's a quest boss. So Baal for quests, if you're killing him for the first time, he's got a 1 in 30,544 chance, and Baal on non-quest is 1 in 46,000. And Neilithak apparently has a chance to drop it at 1 in 350,000, which is really, really rare. Let's take a look at super uniques, and let's see if any super uniques can drop this particular item. So Akmel the Cursed in the Throne of Destruction, Bartuk the Bloody in Throne of Destruction, Kalenzo the Annihilator in Throne of Destruction, Frozenstein in the Frozen River, Lister the Tormentor in Throne of Destruction, Neelathak in the Halls of Vought. Pindleskin has a chance to drop it at 1 in 59,640. Snapship Chatter, Frozen Horror in Icy Cellar, and Ventar the Unholy, the Venom Lord. Interesting. And what about just regular, like, unique monsters? So pretty terrible chances here, but it looks like mainly really high level zones. Let's take a quick look, peek at what the treasure class is for Crown of the Ages, shall we? I'm pretty sure it's high. I don't need anyone to tell me that it's probably pretty high. Yes, it is a TC class 87 item. So you're looking at only from monsters really in level 85 zones, and it has to be the elites in those zones that drop the item. So you're not going to see this drop from non-elites. It's going to be a particularly rare item. And as we discussed earlier, revolving around all of the modifiers on Crown of Ages, it is also going to be a particularly hard item to find in a good quality. So to keep that in mind as well. Anyway, as always, I do appreciate you guys and gals watching my videos, and keep watching.